Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is a strange case of Sean, here with the 9th chapter of my story, New World Order, Undertaker. A story written by me, with some assistance from ChatGPT. Before we get started, I'm going to give a quick recap of the last chapter, but please be sure to check out the previous chapters as well, and of course, if you enjoy the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I appreciate all the support. Now in Chapter 8, we saw the aftermath of the Spring Stampede pay-per-view. Eric Bischoff opened the show gloating about the nWo's night of success. The celebration was interrupted by the Harlem Heat. Booker T expressed their displeasure with being screwed over by Vampiro in their tag title match. They told Bischoff they'd be getting a rematch against the Outsiders in the main event. In that match, Bischoff failed to help as he was caught trying to slide a weapon to Scott Hall. But soon after, Stevie Ray wound up actually betraying his brother and joining the nWo in the match, which would allow for the Outsiders to retain their tag championships. On Thunder, Dusty Rhodes actually laid out a challenge to a match against Eric Bischoff for that night. Bischoff later learned he was volunteered for that match against his knowledge. Vampiro assured Bischoff that he could help him as long as he'd be willing to return the favor. In the match, Vampiro did keep his end of the bargain by laying out the American Dream, but Bischoff failed to take the opportunity and wound up losing the match. On the following Nitro, the nWo held an appreciation night for Bischoff. The leader and world champion, The Undertaker, praises the nWo's successes and brings out Bischoff. Bischoff is caught by surprise by the acknowledgments, but is then cut off by Taker. Taker then acknowledges Bischoff for showing him what needs to be done for the sake of the nWo. Kane then launches an attack on Bischoff, which is then followed up by more attacks from the nWo. A battered Bischoff was then thrown into a coffin, which then Taker shut the lid to end Nitro. The end of the show then featured more cryptic words on the screen. And now we are all caught up. So let's get started, shall we? On an episode of Nitro, the commentators announced that Eric Bischoff had suffered a combination of injuries by the hands of the nWo. Then we hear the music of executive WCW Vice President Dusty Rhodes, and he makes his way to the ring. He grabs a microphone and begins. Well, we certainly have a situation on our hands. You know, after recovering from my attack, I knew I needed a plan to take on the nWo. I was ready for a fight and sent a challenge over to the nWo. They sent over Eric Bischoff, which even I kind of feel bad for what happened to him last week. But that is the past, and we need to look to the future, and the future is the Great American Bash. The crowd cheers. He continues. We have some great matches set for the show, but I need to make it a bit spicier, if you know what I mean. So I just thought of the right kind of spices I want to throw in. So first, let's talk about that big bad Undertaker. He's got the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and that needs to come home. And quite frankly, I'm sick of the nWo. So here's what I got planned. Taker, you'll be defending that championship against not one, not two, but 3 other wrestlers at the Great American Bash. The crowd cheers. Suddenly, the music of the nWo plays, and out comes The Undertaker, followed by the members of the nWo. They stop at the top of the ramp. Taker begins. Paul mentioned to me that he thinks this isn't fair. I see his side, but I also believe nothing in this world is fair. I don't ask for fairness. We don't ask for fairness. We take what is ours. I take what's mine, even if the odds are stacked against me. Dusty responds, I'm happy you feel that way, because I think you're going to like this next part. There will be a total of 3 triple threat matches. The winners of those matches will make up the field of opponents you'll have at the pay-per-view. Wait, it gets better. The ones who don't win the world title opportunity will enter a pool of available wrestlers that can form teams that will take on the Outsiders in a tornado tag 4-way dance for the tag titles. The crowd explodes. Paul is shocked while the Outsiders shout at Dusty from the ramp. Taker stares at Dusty with cold eyes. Dusty continues. I see that look in your eye. That's why I kinda like you. You always have a plan. Well, I got another dash of spice for you. If there is any, and I mean any interference whatsoever from the nWo, the participants in the match will all be granted a world championship opportunity in a battle royal at the Bash. The crowd praises the decision. Taker's rigid stance breaks and he begins to walk down the ramp, but Kane puts his hand on Taker's chest to restrain him. Taker looks at Kane. His look of anger shifts to a devious grin. Taker responds, "That's quite the plan you've laid out. Every hero counted for. Every piece of the nWo mapped out. But you forgot one. You forgot Kane. And the truth is, you've got no heroes left. Wait, I see one. Dusty, you want to stand tall? You want to play hero against the big red machine?" The crowd gives a... Dusty responds, "Oh, I didn't forget about him. I didn't forget about that fireball you sent straight into my face. Taker, you played straight into my hand. You see, I can't just put myself in title matches willy-nilly, but I can lay down challenges and accept challenges as I please. Last week, I sent over a challenge to the nWo, which y'all accepted from Mr. Bischoff. Now you're challenging me to a match to take on that big freak, and I'll say, you got it. The Big Red Machine faces the American Dream at the Great American Bash." In the first of the triple threat matches, we see Raven versus Dean Malenko versus Lex Luger. The bell rings and the match begins. The match starts with Malenko and Raven briefly double-teaming Luger to keep the powerhouse grounded. Malenko works Raven's arm with quick holds, showing his technical edge. Luger powers both men off with clotheslines, establishing his strength early. As Luger spends time working on Malenko, Raven chop blocks Luger's leg and he hits him with a swinging neck breaker. Raven pulls Malenko outside and whips him into the guardrail, trying to isolate Luger. Luger rallies, but Raven cuts him off with a drop toe hold into the turnbuckle. Malenko re-enters with precision offense, targeting Raven's leg with drop kicks and submissions. The pace slows as Malenko cinches in a Texas cloverleaf on Raven. Luger is able to break it up with a big elbow smash. Raven then spikes Malenko with a DDT, nearly getting a fall before Luger drags him out of the ring. Luger throws Raven into the steps and re-enters, trading holds with Malenko. Malenko surprises Luger with a roll-up near fall, then transitions into a crossface. Luger is able to power out. Raven sneaks in with a chair, but Malenko drop kicks it back into his face. Malenko hooks Raven in the cloverleaf again, center of the ring. As Raven struggles, Luger seizes the moment and clotheslines Malenko from behind. Luger throws Malenko out of the ring. Luger then locks Raven in the torture rack, ragdolling him. Raven is forced to submit. Luger celebrates his victory as he secures the first spot in the championship Fatal 4-Way at the Great American Bash, while Raven and Malenko enter the pool of wrestlers to form teams for the Outsiders. Back from break, we see Dean Malenko walking backstage disappointed with the outcome of the previous match, when he walks up on Chris Jericho, who slowly claps Malenko. Jericho begins, "Hey Dean, nice job out there. Would have been nicer had you won. Didn't you say you're the man of 1,000 holds? Well, why didn't you use more of them out there? Do you have 1,000 excuses ready to go, Stinko Malenko?" Malenko reaches his boiling point and punches Jericho in the face, leading to a backstage brawl between the two. It is eventually broken up. In the main event of Nitro, we see another triple threat match that sees Bam Bam Bigelow versus Eddie Guerrero versus Diamond Dallas Page. The bell rings and the match begins. Eddie tries to use his speed to keep both bigger men off balance, hitting quick drop kicks on Bam Bam and DDP. Bam Bam shrugs it off, throwing Eddie across the ring with great power. Eddie rolls out of the ring. DDP and Bam Bam hesitate to tie up at first, recognizing their ties. They then square up, exchanging heavy shots until Eddie springboards back in to break it up. Eddie targets Bam Bam's legs, trying to chop the Beast from the East down. DDP plants Eddie with a spinning sidewalk slam for a near fall. Bam Bam regains control, crushing both opponents with a double clothesline and hitting a diving headbutt on Eddie. DDP breaks up the pin and Bam Bam shoves him hard into the corner. Eddie counters Bam Bam with a neck breaker, stunning the big man. He goes for a pin, but Bam Bam kicks out at 2. Eddie then climbs up for a frog splash, but DDP cuts him off and crouches him on the top rope. DDP then hits the diamond cutter, assisted with the turnbuckle, while also splashing Bigelow. He flips over Guerrero and goes for a pin on both men, but Bigelow powers out with his strength. DDP attempts a diamond cutter on a recovering Bam Bam, but Bigelow powers out and delivers a power slam for a 2 count. Eddie dives back in with a missile dropkick, knocking back Bam Bam to the ground, but Bam Bam recovers back up quickly and delivers a shoulder tackle into Eddie. Bam Bam sets up Eddie for a top rope splash, but DDP throws Bam Bam off the turnbuckle, crashing onto a grounded Eddie. Eddie stumbles up, recovering, and finds himself into a diamond cutter out of nowhere from DDP. DDP then pins him for the victory. DDP secures the victory in the main event and a spot in the championship main event of the Great American Bash, while Bigelow and Guerrero enter the pool of contenders for the tag title match. On an episode of Thunder, the main event is announced as an 8-person tag team match between the nWo and the first 4 of the tag team contenders pool for the Great American Bash. On this show, we will also see the last triple threat match for the final spot in the championship Fatal 4-Way at the Great American Bash. In a backstage interview, Booker T is asked about his brother's betrayal. Booker responds, "I am very angry with Stevie. I still haven't processed what happened. He's been dodging my calls and I don't know what to think. I have a lot of feelings. I mean..." Booker is interrupted by his brother walking up on him. Booker grows angry but reserves himself. Stevie begins. Now, I'm sure you have questions, but they aren't going to be answered now. You got a big match tonight, brother. I got a match as well. But know this, if I was allowed to, without screwing over the nWo, I'd be making sure your chance tonight would be the last chance you'd ever get. The crowd boos. Stevie continues, "You are not my brother anymore. I'm with my real brothers now." Ray walks off, leaving Booker visibly distraught. In the last triple threat match, we see Booker T taking on Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio. The bell rings and the match begins. Jericho struts and stalls, demanding respect from the crowd, only to be drop-kicked out of the ring by Ray. Booker and Ray exchange fast-paced counters, with Ray hitting a springboard arm drag. Jericho sneaks back in and cheap shots both of them, tossing Ray over the ropes and delivering a rake to the face of Booker with his foot. Booker is able to recover and then overwhelms Jericho with power, big forearms, a spine buster, and his signature kicks. Ray returns with a flurry of his own, hitting a tilt-a-whirl head scissor on Jericho and a dropkick that staggers Booker. Jericho halts Ray's momentum with a powerbomb and taunts the crowd. Jericho slaps on the Lion Tamer onto Ray, but Booker breaks it with a Harlem sidekick. Ray dazzles the crowd with a springboard moonsault on both opponents, scoring a near fall on Jericho. Jericho rakes Ray's eyes and tosses him into the turnbuckle, then tries to steal a win with his feet on the ropes, but Ray kicks out. Booker and Jericho brawl to the outside, trading shots. Ray then launches himself through the ropes, wiping both men out. Back in the ring, Jericho tries for a superplex on Ray, but Booker sneaks underneath. Booker powerbombs Jericho while Jericho suplexes Ray in a big Tower of Doom spot. Booker hits a scissor kick on Jericho. Ray flies in with a springboard attempt, but Booker catches him mid-air and hits him with the bookend. Booker covers Ray for the 1, 2, 3, while Jericho is down and out. Booker celebrates, securing the final spot in the Fatal 4-Way World Championship match at the Great American Bash. The final match sees The Undertaker defending against Booker T, Lex Luger, and Diamond Dallas Page. Backstage, moments after the match, we see a defeated Jericho walking, who then runs into Dean Malenko, who is delighted at the match's outcome. Jericho snarkily responds, "You find that funny, Stinko? Well, at least now I get to beat your ass this weekend." Dean continues to laugh. Dean responds, "Well, that's the funny part. Apparently we're teaming up. The other guys already formed teams, leaving you and I to be the final team." Jericho's face shrivels up and he pouts. In the main event, we have the previously announced 8-man tag team match planned between the nWo, comprised of Curt Hennig, Stevie Ray, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash, taking on the team made up of the contenders in the tag team title match for the Great American Bash in Bam Bam Bigelow, Raven, Eddie Guerrero, and Dean Malenko. However, the bout never really settles into a classic tag format, as tempers flare before the bell rings. All 8 men battle on the ramp, with chaos breaking out immediately. Kurt Hennig blindsides Malenko with a low blow in the scramble and then plants him with a Henningplex on the outside. Stevie Ray uses raw power, catching Guerrero mid-air and driving him spine first into the guardrail, establishing his new enforcer role in the nWo. Scott Hall drops Raven with a fallaway slam on the steel ramp floor. Kevin Nash trades blows with Bam Bam and winds up powerbombing him through the announce table, leaving the biggest visual of the melee. The match is thrown out and the nWo celebrate over a beaten Bam Bam. Dusty Rhodes seems to have found some footing in bringing the fight to the nWo. He stacked the deck against the nWo tremendously as we approach the Great American Bash. Are the nWo in danger of losing their championships? Did Dusty bite off more than he could chew by accepting Kane's challenge? Will Taker have his own plan? We shall find out in the next chapter. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strange, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.